So my idea is to find a home for my clover yo-yo makers and my hexagons, and I'm thinking of just stitching like rectangles on each one to hold them in, and then on each rectangle put a yo-yo made or a hexagon made with that size. So then you can easily go, that's what size I want. But if the handles are going to be here and you're going to carry it this way, the pockets will need to go like this way. If you see my, oh, that's cute to make it fit. Is that going to be too hard? I was just thinking rectangles. Like that. And then have on here the yo-yo that it makes. It's food for thought, isn't it? If the pockets are like stitched down to fit exactly. How adventurous am I feeling? And I've got to think of like, do I want the pockets to be plain and then just nice colourful pieces on them? I think I do, because the products themselves are sort of quite vibrant in colour, aren't they? Okay, let's get it ready. I just took the time to square it up, so it now measures 12.5 by 19.5. So that's where you just trim off the excess to make the lines straight again, because things do end up a little bit out of whack in the quilting process, especially for this center panel where it's so heavily quilted. So now I cut it at the same time as the other side of the fabric, so that's the right side too. Now we've got choices to make. We can either put these right sides together later and sew them along the edge and turn it in the right way, or we can do like a quilt binding, in which case we leave it as is now with the right sides facing out. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I've decided based on the scraps that I have. So what I'm going to do, this is 6 inches. I'm going to fold it in half and sew along the raw edges. So I'm making effectively like a long tube. Then I'll cut each one to size, tuck in the ends and sew them down to make pockets. And they'll be uniform size pockets. They'll all be this size. Except for this little guy maybe, because he'll disappear inside. But this guy. Yeah, these two might need to get their own little custom size. What about my smallest hexie? I think he'd be okay there. So I need that, just by that. Just laying out all my pieces. That's not going to make it. Might need just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to sew here all the way to the end. leave this end open to turn it all through and iron it, and then I'll have nicely enclosed seams to make all the pockets. And I've decided to match the grain with the fabric rather than go against the grain. I'll be back. Oops, still on zigzag from a previous project. And I found some smaller scraps. These are 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So these should work for the smaller. These ones I'm just turning them just 2 sides. Let's clip these corners. I can't see where the stitching is there. And turn in. So then you just turn in this edge. And press it, the iron, and then when you sew 3 sides of the pocket down on the backing piece, that will be secured in. I need some nylon stabiliser. I've got the rough side facing up, so it's going to stick on my fabric piece. And I'm making sure it doesn't stick out over the edges, or it'll get on my iron. Actually, I'm going to have to trim it, I think. So what I shall do is I'm close to the edges, but not on the edges. My goodness, can you hear the rain coming down now outside? That's incredible. We need it. It's good for the garden. I'll show you my garden later on too if you want to see it. You can just stick around. Now you can iron on the edges. Okay, now to stitch down these pockets on 3 sides, the 2 sides and the bottom edge. Righto, now I'm pinning the 2 pieces right sides together, and I'm matching the yo-yos on the hexagons to the yo-yo pockets so that I know which side of the bag those things are stored in. And this right here is going to be an opening, so I've put a pin either side to remind myself to start and stop sewing there. Okay, let's clip these corners. I'm clipping close to the stitching but not on the stitching, very important. Clip the corners just so that there's less bulk when you turn it in the right way. Let's tuck these raw edges neatly inside, and we're going to stitch them closed. So you can see in the top stitching process I have stitched down my handles as well, and they are secured down extra well with a crisscross over the top of them where they overlap the bag. Now for the fun part we've all been waiting for. I get to put my things away inside the bag. Woohoo! Well, if you've watched this far, thanks for sticking around with me, and I want to invite you back again next week because this still isn't finished. I've got lots more to show you. We're going to put extra pockets inside this bag, and we've got some embellishments and things to do. It probably will be another 2 weeks of videos on this project, and I want to thank you so much for being here and giving me your time. I hope you're enjoying my little walk through my spring garden. Take care, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.